The war had started in silence, long before humans ever knew something was coming. It began with signals, faint whispers in space that no one on Earth could hear. But the alien ships heard them. They followed those signals, tracing them across galaxies, until the dark shapes finally appeared at the edge of the solar system. Commander Rylan Hart was one of the first humans to see the recordings. At that time, nobody called it a war. People only said it was unusual movement or a new discovery. But Rylan had been around long enough to know that nothing this big ever ended quietly. The shapes were too organized, too cold, and too silent to be friendly. He stood inside the observation room of the Helios 9 orbital station, looking at the giant display screen as thousands of small red dots appeared. Every dot was a ship. Every ship was heading toward Earth. And yet they made no sound, sent no message, and showed no sign of fear or hesitation. Rylan had seen many strange things in his life, but the stillness of the alien fleet made his skin tighten. It felt like the beginning of something that would change humanity forever. Earth's leaders called for emergency meetings. Some said humanity should hide. Some said they should welcome the aliens. Some believed the aliens were only passing by. But Rylan knew better. He had seen the speed of their advance. He had watched their strange formations. Aliens never traveled like that unless they already knew where they were going. When the first ship broke through Earth's upper atmosphere, everything changed. It didn't fire. It didn't attack. It simply hovered over the planet like a giant shadow. Then came the others, spreading out over oceans, mountains, and cities. People panicked. Governments tried to calm them, but fear was stronger than every speech and every promise. Nobody knew what the aliens wanted. Nobody understood why they were here, not until the second day. That was the day they took the first group of humans. Rylan wasn't there when it happened, but he saw the reports. Entire groups of civilians disappeared, lifted into the alien ships. No deaths, no destruction, no violence. Only confusion and terror. The aliens didn't kill, they didn't invade buildings, they only captured. But sometimes mercy felt more frightening than war. The thousands of missing people were never seen again. Not until the day Rylan found the creature. It began with a distress call from the Helios 9 lower lab. A team was studying an object recovered from an alien landing site. Nobody knew what it was. It looked like a cage, made of glowing threads that twisted like living metal. Inside that cage was a creature shaped like a badger, but much larger, with thick fur and bright orange eyes that watched every movement in the room. The scientists called it harmless. They said it didn't attack, didn't growl, didn't do anything except breathe slowly. Rylan didn't trust anything that stayed calm for too long. When he arrived at the lab, he noticed the creature's stare. It wasn't the look of an animal. It was a look of something trying to understand him, something that wasn't supposed to exist on Earth. Dr. Alara Finch, the lead scientist, approached him with a tablet in her hand and excitement in her eyes. "Commander, this creature is amazing. It hasn't shown any signs of aggression. I think it might even be intelligent." "Or hiding something," Rylan replied. Alara laughed nervously. "You always assume the worst." "And you always assume the best," Rylan answered. "That's why we make a good team." Behind them in the glass chamber, the creature lay still, almost peaceful. But there was something strange about its breathing. Too slow, too controlled. Rylan stepped closer. "What do we know about it?" "Only that it was inside the alien cage when our ground team found it," Alara said. "The aliens left it behind, maybe on purpose." "Aliens never leave anything by accident," Rylan whispered. Alara sighed but didn't argue. She knew he was right. The creature suddenly turned its head toward them. Its eyes followed Rylan's movement. Alara smiled softly. "See. It's curious, maybe friendly." Rylan crossed his arms. Friendly creatures don't get locked inside glowing cages by advanced alien fleets. He wasn't smiling. Before Alara could reply, the lab door opened. A small girl with blonde hair and bright blue eyes walked inside, holding a stuffed toy. Her name was Macy, Alara's daughter. She liked visiting her mother at work, and the soldiers always allowed her inside with permission. Rylan turned quickly. "Alara, is she supposed to be here?" "It's fine," Alara said, smiling. "Macy just wants to see the new creature. She's harmless." Rylan stared at the girl. Children tend to get too close to things they shouldn't. Macy walked toward the glass chamber, curious and fearless like children always were. She reached out her hand toward the creature, pointing at it with innocent excitement. "Look, Mommy," she said softly. "It's pretty." Alara smiled warmly. "Yes, sweetheart, but don't get too close." The creature didn't move at first, but then it lifted its head, Slowly, smoothly, as if waking from sleep, its eyes glowed brighter, its fur rose slightly. And for the first time it opened its mouth. Not in a roar, not in anger, but in something like recognition. Rylan felt every muscle tense. Something wasn't right. The creature wasn't reacting to danger. It was reacting to the child. Macy took one more step forward. Her hand rose just a little higher. And then the creature unleashed a scream so loud, so sharp, and so violent that every light in the room flickered. Alara grabbed Macy. Scientists ducked. Alarms went off. Rylan stared in horror. The harmless creature was not harmless anymore. The scream did not sound like anything from Earth. It was sharp and deep at the same time, like metal scraping against thunder. The walls shook. Every screen flickered. The scientists covered their ears as alarms flashed red across the entire research deck. Even the air felt heavy, pressing against everyone's chest. Alara pulled Macy close, her hands shaking as she tried to shield her daughter. Rylan grabbed the nearest railing to stop himself from falling as the creature's roar echoed through the chamber. But the strangest part was not the sound. It was the reaction of the aliens in the observation area. The humanoid aliens standing behind the safety glass suddenly froze. Their glowing eyes widened. Their claws twitched. They stepped back as if the creature inside the chamber was more terrifying to them than it was to the humans. And that made Rylan feel something he had not felt in years, a cold, crawling fear. The creature lowered its head, staring directly at little Macy. Its huge body trembled, fur rising like static electricity. Rylan could see something behind its eyes now, something intelligent, something calculating. "Move her back!" Rylan shouted. Alara stumbled, pulling her daughter away from the glass as quickly as she could. The creature followed Macy's movement with unnatural precision, its body leaning forward slightly, like a predator focusing on something small and important. The lights cut out for a moment. Darkness swallowed the room. The only thing visible were the creature's glowing orange eyes. Rylan reached for his sidearm. The scientists gasped. Some whispered prayers. Some simply froze, unable to think or move. The emergency power kicked back in with a soft hum. Light filled the chamber again, but the creature had changed positions. It stood closer to the front glass, breathing heavily, hot steam fogging the reinforced panel. Macy whimpered. Alara held her tighter. Rylan stepped in front of them both. He didn't know what the creature wanted, but he understood one thing: it wasn't interested in the adults. It wanted the child. The creature slowly closed its mouth and lowered itself into a crouch. It looked calm again, but Rylan wasn't fooled. There was something new in its eyes now, something awake. "What did that scream do?" Rylan asked sharply, turning to Alara. Alara was pale. It triggered the sensors. It released a huge energy pulse. We've never recorded anything like this. The frequency, it wasn't random, it was controlled. Rylan frowned. Controlled for what? Before she could answer, the chief xenobiologist, Dr. Merrick, ran in from the hallway, pushing past equipment and terrified staff. His face was flushed, his breath uneven. "Commander, we have a problem in the holding wing." Rylan pointed at the creature. "Bigger problem right here." "No," Merrick said, shaking his head. "The scream, it didn't just shake this room. It activated all the alien specimens, every single one." Rylan stared. "Activated as in woke them up." "Worse," Merrick whispered. "They're responding." Like they were waiting for that sound. Rylan looked back at the creature. It wasn't just an animal, it was a signal. A living alarm. Macy peeked from behind her mother's arms. For a moment, her innocent eyes met the creature's burning ones. She didn't cry anymore. She only whispered. It was calling someone. Rylan knelt beside her. "What do you mean?" "It wasn't trying to scare us," she said softly. "It was talking." Everyone fell silent. Rylan slowly stood. "Alara, take her out of the lab. Secure her somewhere safe." Alara didn't argue. She lifted Macy into her arms and hurried toward the exit. As they left, the creature's gaze followed them. Its eyes dimmed slightly like a fading glow. It made a low sound, not a roar this time, but a soft rumble, almost like a plea. Rylan stepped forward. "You're not harmless, are you?" The creature blinked slowly. Merrick pulled up data on a handheld screen. "Commander, look. The energy wave wasn't random. It matched the patterns we detected from the alien fleet 2 days ago." Rylan's jaw tightened. "So the fleet knows where we are now." "It's not just that," Merrick said. "It sent a signal back." Rylan turned. "Back to what?" "The alien hive, the main ships, they're changing formation." As if on cue, a loud metallic boom echoed through the station, shaking the deck beneath their feet. The lights flickered again. A voice came through the intercom, panicked and breathless. "Bridge to all decks, we have incoming. 3 alien vessels have broken formation and are approaching Helios 9 at high speed." Rylan grabbed the radio. "Activate defense barriers, seal all lower labs." "They're ignoring our hails," the officer replied. "They're coming straight for the research wing." Rylan looked at the creature again. It wasn't calm anymore. Its fur bristled, claws digging into the metal floor. Its roar hadn't been a warning, it had been a message. Merrick whispered, "Commander, what if the child triggered something in it? A memory, a connection." Rylan stared at the security footage of Macy leaving the room moments earlier. The creature's eyes had never left her. He felt a twist in his chest. Whatever it wants, it started with her. Another explosion vibrated through the station. Rylan snapped into action. Merrick locked down the chamber. Nobody gets in, nobody gets out. The alarms blared louder. The deck trembled as the alien ships began docking maneuvers. Merrick looked terrified. "Commander, what do they want?" Rylan looked through the glass one more time. The creature stared back with a strange calmness now, as if waiting, no, preparing. "They're not here for us," Rylan said quietly. "They're here for it." But deep down, he wondered if that was true. Something told him this wasn't just about the creature. It was about the child, and the war that was coming next. The station shook again as the alien ships locked onto the outer docking rings. The lights flickered, and the alarms echoed across every hallway. People ran in every direction, scientists, soldiers, medics, everyone trying to follow orders, secure equipment, and prepare for whatever was coming. Rylan hurried down the hallway with 2 guards heading toward the command bridge. He needed answers. He needed control. But most of all, he needed to understand why the aliens were coming for this station, and why the creature screamed the moment the child reached out. Every step he took, the same question circled in the back of his mind. Why Macy? When he reached the bridge doors, they slid open automatically. Holograms lit the room, showing 3 massive ships closing in like silent giants. The officers looked tired, scared, and confused as they struggled to track the alien movements. Rylan walked directly to the main display. "Give me status." Lieutenant Hale, eyes wide with panic, replied quickly. "Commander, all 3 alien ships are scanning only the research wing. It's like they don't care about the rest of the station." "What about weapon systems?" Rylan asked. "No weapons detected," Hale said, "but they're opening." "Opening?" Rylan repeated. Hale zoomed in the view. The alien ships were unfolding like metal flowers, petals separating and glowing with strange symbols. Soft light pulsed from the inner structures, sending waves of energy through space. Rylan frowned. "Ilera and the child, where are they?" Hale checked the logs. "Safe room Delta 2, but Commander, the creatures we have in stasis. They're responding again." The scream triggered some kind of chain reaction. Rylan clenched his jaw. "If they break containment." "That's what we're trying to avoid," Hale said, swallowing nervously. Rylan stepped away from the screen. He needed to check on Macy. Something inside him, something instinctive, told him she was the center of whatever was coming. He made his way to the lower decks with 2 soldiers at his side. The hallways were filled with flashing red lights, shaking floors, and distant alarm sirens. As they reached Delta 2, Rylan pressed his hand to the scanner. The door opened. Inside, Ilera sat on the floor, holding Macy close. The little girl looked calmer now, but her eyes were fixed on nothing, as if she was staring at something far away that the adults couldn't see. Rylan stepped inside. "Ilera, we need to talk." Ilera looked up, fear in her voice. "Rylan, what is happening? Those ships outside, they're not attacking. It's like they're waiting." Macy spoke softly, still staring at the floor. "They're listening." Rylan knelt in front of her. "Macy, what do you mean?" Macy blinked slowly, then lifted her head. Her bright blue eyes seemed deeper, almost glowing under the dim light. "When the creature screamed, they heard it," she whispered. It wasn't angry, it wasn't scared, it was calling them. Rylan felt a chill run down his spine. "Calling them? For what?" "To find me," Macy said simply. Ilera gasped. "Macy, sweetheart, don't say things like that." But the little girl shook her head. "I heard them in my head like a voice, like a story I already knew." Rylan exchanged a worried look with Ilera. "Tell us what you heard," he said gently. Macy took a deep breath. "A long time ago, the aliens lost something small but important, something they couldn't find again, so they made creatures to search for it. The creature in the lab, it was one of them." Ilera frowned, but what were they searching for? Macy looked down at her hands. "Someone like me." Ilera's face turned pale. "No, that's impossible. Macy is human. She's my daughter." Macy looked up again. I know, Mommy, but I'm also something else. Rylan felt his stomach twist. Macy, what do you mean? She pointed at her chest. I'm not exactly like you, not exactly human. You found me, remember? Alara froze. Tears formed in her eyes. Macy, that was years ago. You were a baby. I found you near the wreckage of the fallen probe. I thought it was an accident. Rylan's voice was barely a whisper. You never told us she was found in alien wreckage. I didn't know, Alara cried. She was just a baby. I raised her like any mother would. She grew like any other child. There was nothing strange about her. Rylan stared at Macy, the child who had always been bright, kind, curious, and somehow unusually calm in dangerous situations. The child the creature reacted to. The child the alien ships were now approaching. Macy hugged her stuffed toy. The creature knows me. It remembers. It wasn't angry. It was surprised. Rylan stood and looked through the room's small window where the alien ships glowed outside. They're not here for the creature, he said slowly. They're here for her. Another tremor shook the station. The intercom crackled. Commander Hart, alien vessels are preparing to dock with the research wing. They're ignoring all warnings. Rylan took a deep breath. Alara, listen to me. We can't stay here. The aliens will head straight for this safe room. They know she's here. Alara clutched Macy tighter. Rylan, what do they want with my daughter? Macy answered before he could. They want to bring me home. Alara's voice broke. You are home. Macy looked up with sad eyes. I know, but they're coming and they won't stop. Rylan stepped forward. Then we won't let them take you. Alara nodded firmly. We protect her no matter what. Macy whispered softly. It's too late. They're already here. A loud, metallic tearing sound echoed through the station, alien boarding claws cutting into the hull. The first breach had begun. The sound of metal tearing apart filled the entire safe room. Dust drifted from the ceiling. Lights flickered. The alien ships had finally attached their boarding claws to the research wing, and now they were cutting their way inside. Rylan pressed a hand to the wall for balance as another violent shake ran through the station. Alara held Macy close, but the little girl did not look afraid. She only looked sad, as if she already understood what was coming next. Rylan turned to the two guards who had followed him. Stay close. If anything gets through that door, you shoot to stop, not to kill. We don't know what they want or how they react to force. The guards nodded, though their hands trembled slightly over their weapons. The safe room vibrated again, this time so violently that the lights shut off for several seconds before the backup power kicked in. A cold, blue glow filled the room, giving everything a strange, dreamlike atmosphere. From somewhere in the hallway, a deep humming began. It didn't sound mechanical. It sounded alive, like a voice, but stretched, layered, and strange. Alara whispered, Rylan, what is that? Rylan shook his head. Not sure, but it's getting closer. Macy stepped forward, pulling gently out of her mother's arms. Alara tried to hold her back, but the girl's small hand slipped free. She walked toward the safe room door with slow, calm steps, as if the humming was calling her. Rylan moved quickly to stop her. Macy, stay back. But she shook her head lightly. They're talking to me. Alara reached her, gripping her shoulders. You don't go anywhere near that door, you hear me? Now isn't the time. Macy looked up at her mother. Her eyes were bright, almost glowing. They won't hurt me. Alara held her tighter. I won't let them try. The humming grew louder, like a chorus echoing through metal halls. Rylan stepped to the control panel and brought up the security feed. The cameras flickered and glitched, but he could see distorted shapes moving through the corridor, tall figures with long limbs and shifting patterns across their skin. They were not the same type of alien as the humanoid scientists on the station. These were different, sleeker, more advanced, and moving with purpose. They're heading straight for us, Rylan said. One of the guards swallowed hard. Commander, if they break through, we won't be able to hold them. Rylan didn't reply. He already knew that. A deep metallic boom shook the door. The guards raised their weapons. Macy didn't flinch. Alara pulled her close again, whispering, I'm here, I'm here. But Macy's eyes stayed fixed on the door. Rylan stepped beside them. We stick together. Whatever happens, we stay between them and the girl. Macy whispered softly, They're not here to take me, not yet. Rylan frowned. Then what do they want? Before she could answer, the door control pad sparked and exploded. The locks hissed. The metal door bulged outward, pushed from the other side. The guards stepped back, fear showing clearly on their faces. Then the door fell. It didn't open. It fell off its frame like it weighed nothing. Standing in the doorway were three tall alien figures. Their bodies glowed with shifting colors, soft patterns that moved like liquid light. Their eyes were large and dark, with a depth that felt endless. They were silent, still, and strangely graceful. Alara gasped. The guards froze. Rylan positioned himself in front of Macy and Alara. "Stop right there." The aliens didn't react to his voice. They walked inside slowly, heads tilting slightly as if studying everything, the walls, the lights, the humans. And then their eyes all turned to Macy. Her small body stiffened. She took a step forward before Alara pulled her back again. "No," Alara whispered fiercely. "You're not going near her." The hallway outside the safe room was cold and dim, lit only by the soft glow coming from the alien figures guiding the way. Their bodies shimmered with moving colors, blue, gold, violet, shifting like waves of liquid light. Rylan kept his hand close to his empty holster out of habit, even though his weapon had been drained. The guards followed behind him, tense and unsure, but they stayed close to Alara and Macy. Macy walked calmly, one hand in her mother's, the other brushing lightly against the air as if she could feel something invisible around her. Every few steps, she looked at the aliens ahead, as though listening to words only she could hear. Alara leaned close to her daughter. "What are they saying?" Macy spoke softly. "They want us to understand. They want to show us something the creature couldn't say." Rylan frowned. "Creatures don't talk." Macy shook her head. "This one does. Just not with its mouth." The group moved deeper into the research wing, past dark rooms, broken equipment, and flickering lights. The station still trembled from the alien ships docked outside, but the aliens walking with them seemed unaffected. Their steps were silent, almost floating, and they moved with strange grace. When they reached the lab containment door, the aliens stopped. Rylan stepped forward and pressed his hand to the scanner. The door opened slowly, revealing the chamber where the creature waited. The creature sat in the center of the room, massive and silent, its orange eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. It didn't roar or move aggressively. It simply watched them enter, its gaze immediately landing on Macy again. Alara felt her pulse rise. "Rylan, I don't think this is safe." Rylan nodded slightly. "Stay behind me, let's see what they want." The aliens entered the chamber and formed a half-circle around the creature. They lowered themselves into a kneeling position, their bodies glowing brighter, patterns flickering fast across their skin. The creature responded by lowering its head as if bowing. Macy stepped forward before anyone could stop her. Alara reached for her, panic in her voice. "Macy, no." But the aliens raised their hands gently, motioning that she was safe. Rylan held Alara back. "Wait, let's see what happens." Macy walked straight up to the glass. The creature leaned closer, pressing its massive forehead against the transparent barrier. The light around the aliens pulsed in rhythm, like a heartbeat. Macy placed her small hand against the glass. The creature closed its eyes. A soft glow spread from its body. Macy whispered, "It's telling me a story." Rylan stepped closer. "What kind of story?" Macy didn't turn around. Her voice became distant, almost dreamlike. "A long time ago, their species was changing. They made creatures like this one to search for something they lost, a piece of themselves." Alara asked shakily, "What piece?" Macy lowered her head. "A child." Rylan felt the air go cold. "What child?" Macy pointed toward herself. Alara grabbed her shoulders. No, that's not possible." But Macy continued. "They created life using part of their own. A special kind, a signal, a way to open something they couldn't open alone." Rylan frowned. "Open what?" Macy turned around slowly. "A gateway." The lights flickered as the aliens changed color again, glowing a deep violet. "They were preparing for a great journey," Macy said. "Something beyond space, beyond stars. They needed a key, and that key had to be alive." Rylan muttered under his breath, "A key that was a child." Macy nodded. "But something went wrong. A storm hit their ship years ago. The capsule carrying the key was thrown across space. It landed on Earth." Alara's eyes filled with tears. "You were in that wreckage. I just thought you were a survivor." Macy held her mother's hand. "You saved me, you raised me, and I love you, but I wasn't just lost, I was missing." Rylan looked at the aliens. "So you've been searching for her for years." Macy corrected softly, "Not them. Their ancestors, these aliens are different now. The ones who created me are gone." Rylan's mind struggled to understand. "If they're gone, then what do these aliens want with you?" Macy approached the creature again. Its breathing grew slow and steady. "They want to finish the mission," she said. "They want to open the gateway their creators could never open." Alara looked terrified. And what happens if they open it? Macy closed her eyes. A new world, a new dimension, a place where their species can evolve. Rylan shook his head. That could destroy everything. We don't know what that kind of gateway would do to this universe. The creature suddenly lifted its head and roared, not loudly like before, but with a deep, sorrowful sound. Macy translated instantly. It says it doesn't want to hurt anyone. It only wants to return home, but without me, it cannot. Alara pulled Macy close again. You're not going anywhere. You're human. You belong with us. Macy hugged her tightly. I am human. You made me human, but I'm also theirs. Rylan stepped between Macy and the aliens. There has to be another way. We're not handing her over. The aliens responded with a deep harmonic tone. Macy listened and shook her head. They're not asking to take me, she said. They're asking for my help. For what? Rylan asked. Macy pressed her hand to the glass again. To calm the creature, to complete its purpose. It was never meant to hurt us. As soon as her hand touched the surface, the creature went silent. Its glowing eyes softened. The strange energy around it faded. Macy whispered, it's scared too. Rylan stood still. Why scared? Macy turned, because something else is coming. Something following the signal. Rylan's breath caught. Something worse. Macy nodded slowly. The scream it made wasn't a call for them. She pointed at the aliens. It was a warning. The room grew silent after Macy spoke. Her words hung in the air like a cold shadow. The creature lowered its head, trembling. The aliens behind her shifted colors rapidly, patterns turning from calm blue to alarmed crimson. Rylan sensed fear, even from them. And that fear spread through the room like invisible smoke. Alara pulled Macy close again. What do you mean something worse is coming? Worse than all this? Macy pointed at the creature. It wasn't calling to them, it was warning them. Warning all of us. The chamber's lights flickered as if responding to her words. Rylan stepped near the control panel and pulled up the station's exterior sensors. The hologram showed the alien ship still docked to the wing, but in the background, something new appeared. Something massive. A dark shape drifted near the edge of the screen. Rylan zoomed in. Alara gasped. The figure was colossal, larger than any of the alien ships, shaped like a twisted black shard floating in space. It pulsed faintly like a heartbeat and moved with unnatural smoothness. Macy whispered, that's what they were afraid of. Rylan felt a cold sweat form on his neck. What is it? Macy walked closer to the hologram. A hunter, a collector. It follows the signal of creatures like this one. She pointed at the giant beast in the chamber. It tracks anything with that power, anything made from their old technology. Alara looked confused and frightened. So this creature was hiding. Macy nodded. It was running. It didn't want the hunter to find it, but when I reached out, I woke it too early, and the scream told the hunter where we were. Rylan stared at the hologram. How much time do we have? Macy listened again to the soft hum in her mind. A few minutes, maybe less. The alien guardians stepped forward, forming a protective circle around Macy and the creature. Their bodies glowed with a defensive red. They were preparing for something. Rylan felt the tension rising like static. Alara held Macy's face, tears in her eyes. There has to be another way. We can't let them take you. We can't let anything happen to this station. Macy wiped her mother's tears with her thumb. I won't leave you, I promise, but I have to finish what I was made for. Rylan's voice was low. And what is that? Macy turned to the creature. To shut the signal off. Alara's breath caught. What do you mean shut it off? Macy pointed at her chest. The signal is inside me. It comes from me. If I stop it, the hunter loses the trail. Rylan looked horrified. If you stop it. Macy, that could kill you. Macy shook her head gently. No, I just have to use it differently. The creature can help me. The aliens can guide me, but I have to be the one to choose. The creature lifted its head again and pressed its forehead against the glass. The alien's skin glowed with bright gold, forming symbols that pulsed in unison. Macy stepped forward. Alara grabbed her. You don't know what will happen. Macy held her mother's hands. Mommy, I know who I am now. I'm your daughter, and I'm their key, but a key can close doors too. Alara's tears fell faster. Please stay with me. Macy kissed her cheek. I will. Rylan spoke firmly. Macy, listen to me. If you're going to do this, tell us what you need. Macy turned, opened the chamber. Alara screamed, no, Rylan. Rylan hesitated. He didn't want to. Every instinct told him this was dangerous. But he saw something in Macy's eyes, strength, clarity, and a strange kind of peace that no child should have. He pressed the command. The chamber opened. The creature stepped forward slowly. It lowered itself until its massive head was level with Macy. She reached out and touched its fur. The room filled with a deep vibration, like the hum of an ancient engine waking for the first time. The aliens raised their hands. Soft golden light gathered around them, then flowed into Macy and the creature like streams of energy. Macy's hair lifted slightly. Her eyes glowed bright blue. She whispered, "I'm ready." The creature released a low, powerful sound, gentle, not violent. It wrapped Macy in a warm circle of light. The aliens knelt. Outside, the dark hunter ship turned sharply toward the station. Its surface cracked open like an eye staring at them. A beam of black energy began to form. Rylan shouted, "Macy, whatever you're doing, do it now." Macy pressed her hand against the creature's chest. A bright blue light erupted from beneath her skin, spreading through the creature and then through the aliens. The hunter fired. But before the beam could reach the station, Macy shouted one single word that echoed through every deck, every corridor, every mind. "Stop!" A shockwave of golden blue energy burst outward from her body. Everything froze. The hunter's beam vanished mid-space, dissolved like smoke. The massive ship shuddered, its dark form fading, dissolving into dust that scattered into the stars. The waves spread farther, traveling through space like ripples on water. The signal stopped. Everything the hunter followed disappeared, erased. The threat was gone. Macy collapsed. Alara screamed and caught her, falling to her knees. Rylan ran to them. Alara held Macy's tiny hands, crying, "Baby, wake up, please wake up." Macy opened her eyes slowly. She smiled. "I'm okay," she whispered. "It's quiet now." Alara hugged her tightly, crying with relief. The creature let out a soft, warm sound, and for the first time its orange eyes looked peaceful, free. It bowed its head to Macy, then to Rylan and Alara as if thanking them. The alien